Hello, everybody. This is Linda Ferguson.
And Karen Nelson Bell.
And welcome to another episode of Platinum Prime for Life, your podcast that shares with you the things that we use to live a Platinum Prime life, which is a most excellent way to live. Hey, so today we're actually talking about something that is more in my wheelhouse and a little more on the serious side. And that has to do with the topic of long-term care. So long-term care in insurance and financial and retirement and estate planning parlance is care that you require typically later in life, but it can occur at any time, that will assist you to at least some degree or to totally with activities of everyday life. And it's really important to actually understand, well, what are those activities? What would everyday living consist of? So everyday living is the ability to bathe or take a shower, get dressed, go to the restroom, eat, getting in and out of your bed or in and out of a chair, so mobility, and then walking, being able to get places. So why is that important? Obviously, if you can't perform any of those particular things, you would really struggle to just live an everyday kind of a life. So that's one. Those are the basic physical kind of things. But there are also cognitive impairments that someone can go through, and we may all be kind of familiar with it, but becoming forgetful, early signs of dementia, not being able to pay your bills or being taken advantage of, that kind of stuff. Taking your medications, remembering when to take your medications, remembering to eat. Okay, so you get the idea. Those are basic things that each and every person needs to be able to perform in order to live a life. And why understanding what those things are matters is because as you get older, or if you run into a situation in life where you are really impaired on several of those things, you need to have a doctor certify in writing that you are unable to perform, and it usually depends, like 4 out of 6 of those activities in order for you to qualify for assisted or long-term care. Okay, so kind of makes sense, but a doctor needs to be there to say, yes, there is a problem here. All right, so why are we talking about this particular subject today? And Karen has a story to share that will kind of bring up how we wound up here.
Well, we always talk just shortly before we do our podcast. We talk about what we think we want to talk about. And over the holiday weekend, I had a friend who broke her arm. She's a senior lady, and she broke her arm. And she already had tendinitis in one hand, and she had soreness in her back. So her walking is limited. Her ability to use her hands is limited. Now she can't use her arm. So she had to go, well, she went to the hospital, and then she went to rehab. And at rehab, she's getting some rehab, but she can't stay in rehab. The insurance won't cover her rehab for more than 20 days. So she has to go someplace where she can get assistance, and she needs it pretty much 24 hours a day because she can't walk right now, and she can't get to the bathroom by herself, and she can't really feed herself at the moment. So she needs this kind of care. So it came to my mind, this is a subject that's really pressing, and I do a couple of things in terms of the mental aspect as well. For example, I won't use candles because I'm worried, what if I don't notice that I'm declining and I leave candles burning, or I don't, and I'm very I cook with an induction plate because you can time it, and that way I don't worry about leaving the stove on. I think about these things, and I play a word game every morning and every night, and I play this word game so that if I can't play it well, it will alert me that I'm missing some function. I'm declining in function. I want to know that I'm declining in function. I don't know if my friends, Linda, I don't know if you would come to me and say, Karen, you're losing it, honey. You don't have all your marbles. I don't know how to say that to another person, right? So the other thing is, when my late husband was alive, people said, well, don't get insurance. Well, why not? Because we were business partners. I needed what they call key man insurance, because if he left this planet, I would be I'd have to hire somebody to do what he did in our business. And I would be stuck with all the problems that come about when you lose a spouse. So I needed insurance. So people would say to me, well, that's a bad, you're putting the idea there that you're going to die. I said, no, if you take an umbrella, it never rains. Am I right? I'm right on that. If I take my umbrella, it will not rain. And I've carried the damn umbrella around for nothing, except for one thing. I kept it from raining. I kept it from raining. So I feel that insurance is the same thing. I feel like, okay, if I get insurance, then it won't. Nobody will die ever. Obviously, that's not true. And I was so lucky. And so I tried to get long-term care insurance because I was young at that time. When I tried to get the long-term insurance, I was about 60, and you could get it, but it wasn't cheap, Linda. It was not cheap. Even at the age of 60, it wasn't cheap. I wish I had started then, because if you're not independently wealthy and can just hire somebody to come into your home during your difficult times, well, then what are you going to do? Because the kind of insurance I have, just regular insurance, won't pay for assisted living or independent living or even won't even pay for memory care or skilled nursing or any of that. Just the regular health insurance that I have just won't take care of it. So what you're talking about, I think, is a separate kind of insurance, and it just all came to mind because my friend, where she wants to go is not covered by insurance. So now, how do you pay for assisted living or skilled nursing? I don't think she's due for memory care, but nevertheless, how do you pay for that? And it's a problem. It's not just a problem for my friend. It could be in the future a problem for me or you or for any of our friends. You don't know. You don't know when you're going to break your arm. You don't know when you just don't know. So I say, get the dang insurance, and then it won't happen.
All right. So I'm going to give you a statistic. We're
Okay.
going to talk about what you just said, and we're going to talk about, this is not a long podcast, so we're just actually going to glance over just some of the things to consider. And if you want to know more, absolutely reach out to me, because it is something that my office knows a lot about, and I know quite a bit about, but I'm definitely not the expert. But my business partner knows a whole lot. Before we get into that, what I want to say again is both Karen and I have our own separate businesses and separate careers. We're very good friends. We're both women of an age that's over 50. And this podcast is about how to move into those older years of your life and still live a good quality of life, the best that you can create at whatever time you start to put attention on doing that. Hopefully you're younger, but if you're not, it's never too late to start. So for me personally, I did a big career shift and went from doing a lot of things online marketing and so on, into financial services, more specifically insurance, and more specifically to that, an area that I was not strong in, which had to do with finances. Because when I was younger, I knew enough My solution to life was make so much money that you don't have to worry about your finances. That was kind of it, just
That's
have so much of it. Who the hell cares?
a good
And
plan.
then as you get older, your work length, the amount of time that you're productive, the amount of time that employers are willing to still hire you, even if you're amazing, shortens. So I went, I don't have a great grasp on my own personal finances. And not only that, but I see almost every day people that are falling to the wayside because they didn't think about it. They didn't get a good grasp on their own personal finances. So I shifted into financial services and educating mostly women is my passion, but women or men on how to handle their finances so that you can make it last your whole life. Back to long-term care. So long-term care, here's a number. Nearly 70% of those turning 65 today will require some level of long-term care. So it used to be, what's that?
Say that again.
70% of people that are turning 65 today will require some level of long-term care.
That's a lot. That's a very high percentage, in my opinion.
That's right. Some people won't because they just die abruptly, right? So those aren't included in the 70%. And we do know people that have heart attacks or whatever, they've never needed assistance in living because they just haven't lived long enough, or cancer, or things like that. So again, long-term care is the inability to perform just some typical daily living activities, including paying your bills, feeding yourself, etc. 70% of people that survive into past the age of 65 are going to require some form of long-term care. It's a huge number. Used to be that you just had to pretty much pay up for long-term care insurance. And the older you started with, the more expensive it gets because, of course, an insurance company says 70% of you are going to need it. And so we're going to have to pay out. And costs keep going up, and we've got to take that into account. So you're going to pay. But if you buy insurance, we'll pay. We will pay whatever it is. And so anyway, there you go. Now there's like these sort of nice blended alternatives to just straight up long-term care. And one of them includes bundling life insurance along with long-term care so that if for whatever reason you don't use up all your benefits, your long-term care benefits, your beneficiaries, whoever you're leaving your things to, will get your life insurance premium.
Nice.
Lots of different things. Yeah, and then there's a way to like pay up front, which, by the way, in case you have any sort of confusion on what insurance is, the basic definition of insurance is pooled risk. When you're talking about an insurance company, it means a whole lot of people are putting money into a pool so that if an unfortunate event happens to one or more of them, money comes from that pool to cover them. So you're pooling your risks, and then when you need it, you should have insurance there. Good to know, huh?
Wow.
Okay, so and the other thing to remember on long-term care is the later you start, the more expensive it is, or you can't get it at all because you already need it. If you need it, you can't get it.
Could I get it
Okay.
at the age of 81 because I'm so healthy? Could I get long-term care?
You actually can. There is a long-term care insurance policy, but it's ridiculously expensive, so I don't think you'd want to get it. Because, and overall, you don't want to live your life going like, I'm going to pay for all this insurance and take away the enjoyment of life. Sort of defeats a purpose if all your finances go to that insurance. We could start a commune. Karen, and then, charge everyone to be there. But one of the stipulations is you have to help the oldsters if they need help.
I can't afford to buy a real estate because I'm paying for long-term care.
Yeah. And I do know people like that, that they empty their bank accounts to make sure they have insurance, meaning they don't live a life. But there is our office, Secure Financial Services Inc. in Largo. We specialize in retirement planning. So, and that's holistically, meaning looking at what are your goals? Where do you want to be? What assets do you have? How can you best utilize what you have, what you're predicted to have, to hit the goals that you want out of life? And when you get that big 10,000-foot view of your life as it looks right now, what it historically looked like leading up to now, and what it could be, you have different aspects. Like if you're super healthy and you live to 100, what does that look like? If you run into situations where you need long-term care, what does that look like? What resources do you have, or what do you need to think with to maybe like put those in place? So that's called retirement planning. Highly recommend it. It includes a lot of different aspects of your entire life. But the peace of mind that you get once you have a plan in place, which those plans can always be changed, by the way, but once you have a plan in place, it's like that just feels so good.
Let's get me a plan, Linda. I don't have a plan.
Okay,
I mean,
let's do
I
it.
have end of life stuff. I have,
Absolutely.
like, because of being in real estate investing all my life, I have a lot of good end of life stuff. But let's get me a plan. What do you think? I think you should help me get a plan.
I will absolutely do it.
I
I,
can't
I
believe I've
mean,
never asked you. I can't believe that I've never, because we don't ask each other necessarily for advice from our two. You explained that we have two separate companies, and I don't think I've ever taken advantage of your company. I think I should.
take advantage of me, please.
Oh, I take advantage of you. I didn't mean I don't take advantage of you.
Now, how funny. I have do not disturb.
I have do not disturb as well.
This is my husband. Hold on. So cute. He's the only one that can ring through, and I have it. He can ring through whenever.
Uh,
But you notice that that's a guitar sound, a guitar
that's
ring.
really good. That's really good.
Um, but actually, let's go over this. So, just recently, I helped someone who's had a longstanding medical condition. He inherited a lot of money from his mother, and so everything's in a trust. And he's in and out of hospitals. His situation is so sketchy. So he had a whole lot of attention on what to do with all of that, including long-term care. So just speaking to the topic here. And we went through our office. Not only do we do retirement planning, but we're part of a bigger group called a virtual family office. It's a funny term, but it actually means a collection of experts like estate planning attorneys, tax guys,
Oh,
um, and we were the point of contact for it, but we put together the right professional team for whatever your situation is. It's really, really good. And it means you're not relying on one person to be the best of the best in everything. And at the same time, you're relying on one person to coordinate or hire the perfect people for what your needs are. So they're not working against one another. It's very famous that you'll have one group saying, yeah, you should do this financially, stockbroker or whatever. And then the attorney says, no, no way. And the tax planner goes, are you insane? And what happens with all those stops is nothing. You're kind of sitting there and you're feeling really upset about it. Like, oh, who do I trust the most? So virtual family office is a topic we should talk about sometime because it's a fascinating topic.
that is fascinating. And when I win the lottery, I will come to you because then you'll have all the experts to help me disperse and dispense with my lottery winnings.
Exactly. And knowing that we always have your best interest at heart, and we've worked with you enough to know what your needs and wants are, what your goals are, so that if we bring in an expert and the expert says rackety rack, before the expert ever says that to you, we can say, no, that's not what they're going for. This is what they want. So you need a solution that hits these
That's
things.
fantastic. Linda,
Yeah.
I didn't know, why have we not talked about this before? I mean, my God.
I know. Why are we?
I didn't really grasp it until this very minute of how valuable what you're providing for people is. I'm so impressed. I'm impressed with you. But I'm really impressed with what the offer, what the offer is of what you're offering. I'm extremely.
Thanks. Well, so the purpose of all of this is one, you have to confront your life. You have to confront that there's a point where you may need help. And if you haven't looked at it, if you've just gone, well, everything's really gone well, I've always been healthy, I've never needed insurance, I never go to the doctor, I never, why should I pay for it? I don't really have the money. Why should I pay for it? And it's because, give it some thought, there may be a point where you might need it. And if you think that you might need it, just find out what the solutions are. Is it something that'll fit into your budget? Is it something you need to just start a savings account? If it doesn't fit in your budget and you can't think of any other way to make money to fund it, what are your solutions going to be? And don't say my kids, because they will not appreciate you
Yeah.
unless you've set it up with them far in advance, and then they might appreciate you.
I think the point is that my friend is the same age as I am and did not expect to break her arm. She did not expect to get tendinitis. So she did not expect that. You don't know you don't know you're going to fall. You don't know you're going to have a car accident. You just don't know. It's like sometimes a car accident is a slap in the face that you aren't sharp enough to drive anymore. That could happen.
Yep.
The way you find out that you shouldn't drive anymore is that you, God forbid, have an accident that harms somebody else. I don't want that. I don't want that.
And we all know, I mean, the story of Bruce Willis is one of the saddest, most heart-wrenching stories. This robust action figure who's like amazing, larger than life on screen. Now, I just read recently that his wife created a separate abode. It sounds like a little cottage on their property that he lives in by himself because it best fits what he needs. But he's not in touch with his family, with reality, with living life. So that cognitive decline is something no one ever plans for.
No, and take a look at Jeremy Renner. Do you know Jeremy Renner's story?
Yeah. You mean how he had his horrible accident?
He broke something like 46 bones. My God, you don't expect that. And thank God he had the funding that he could have the best of the best of the best restorative medical attention. And now he's my hero. I think about him when I think about how my knee that I had the surgery on, and I'm bitching and moaning about how it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't feel right. And I'm thinking, Karen, shut up. Jeremy Renner said one time, he said, I'll never have a bad day ever again. He's had his bad day,
Wow.
So yeah, you don't know. You might be healthy. I'm healthy. You're healthy.
Right. Yep.
You don't know when you're going to get hit upside the head with a little reality check of something. So
Yeah, and the older you get, that just one brief moment. I mean, it can happen to anyone at any point in their life. Jeremy Renner is a perfect example of that. One brief moment changed the entire course and outlook of his life. But the older you get, those one brief moment probabilities go up.
yeah.
And I shared just recently, my husband overexerted himself on a super hot day, and we wound up, just to be safe about it, going to the hospital and checking things out. And they kept him overnight. Why? Because he was older. not because there was anything physically wrong. In fact, he just bought an Oura ring. So I have an Oura ring, right? And it has detailed statistics of every aspect of what your body's doing, how you're sleeping and stuff. And you get scores. I actually don't know. I don't think they go up to 100%, but typically anything 80 and over is good. And then if you're less than that, it gives you advice on what you should be doing. Anyhow, he gets his Oura ring. And so I say, well, honey, so how was your sleep? How's your readiness for the day? And he had like an 89. I think his sleep was 85. His readiness was 89, meaning pretty much perfect. He's really super healthy.
I'm so glad, and I hope you never become a widow. I don't want you to join the club. It's a club nobody wants to join. A lot of women do join it because women live longer than men. But if he's nice and healthy like that, good. Don't join the club.
Well, one or the other, we're not planning on getting divorced. So
No, not that club either.
unless we like go down in a plane or a car accident and we go together, there one or the other of us will be left alone. But that it's just life. That is how life goes. I don't plan on it. That's definitely not something to plan on. But you just want to make sure you have insurance in place. If something happens, you have insurance on either way that might go in the future. So, as is what we typically do is when we talk about a subject, and this one's a pretty heavy subject, but definitely super important.
Yeah.
We have a download for you, a guide, so that it'll take you through a thought process on looking at what you have in place, answering some of your questions, and kind of a little worksheet. And then if you do have questions and you would like more information, feel free to reach out to me. Either you can leave a comment, and soon I'll have something in place where you can just actually leave a keyword and I will send you on automatic a response for that.
Yeah.
So Karen, we're about to wrap it up. Is there anything more you want to add to our topic for the day?
Take your umbrella so that it won't rain.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. Bye.